There are dreams, and then there are warnings wrapped in shadows. The kind you wake from not in fear, but in knowing. Like your soul caught wind of something the world hadn't said out loud yet. Tonight's story isn't just eerie, it's intimate. It's a moment where sleep peeled back the veil, where a dream whispered the truth before it happened, and a young heart was forced to carry knowledge it never asked for. Welcome to Paranormal Nightshift, where your headlights might light the way forward, but it's what's behind you, what's watching, that we talk about here. I'm Andy, your guide through the strange, the spine-tingling, and the stories too real to stay buried. Now, before we step into tonight's experience, I've got something just for you. If you haven't already, head over to paranormalnightshift.com to grab your free copy of The Birth of Dimensional Desperado, the first ebook in our time-traveling paranormal series. And here's the kicker. Subscribers on the email list and our Patreon supporters will get exclusive sneak peeks into the second book before anyone else. Plus, I've started sharing extra stories that are too intense for the podcast, straight to the inbox. So if you want even more of what we can't say out loud on platforms, you know where to go. All right, time travelers, let's step into the dark. Tonight's story is called The Dream That Knew. It comes from one of our listeners, Kerrie, and it's one you won't forget. Now let's begin. I was 11 years old the morning it happened. Old enough to stay up too late reading under the covers. Old enough to ride my bike farther than I was supposed to, but still young enough to believe that bad things mostly happened in books and movies. And that parents, especially your parents, were the kind of people who just stayed. Unshakable. Always coming home. That morning started with a dream. I don't remember all of it, just flashes. But the part that stayed with me, the part that never faded, was the ending. In the dream, I saw my dad. He was in his truck driving. The sky was gray, and I remember the feeling of dread washing over me before anything even happened. Then, it did. A crash. Quick, violent, suddenly. The dream didn't play out like a movie. There was no dramatic explosion. It was more like a memory that had been fast-forwarded, chopped into pieces and stitched back together in a way that made no sense, but felt real. Too real. I remember jolting awake, breathing hard, my chest tight. And the thought that came next still echoes in my bones. That could never happen, I whispered to myself. It was just a dream. I got out of bed, still shaken, but trying to shake it off. Dreams don't mean anything. That's what grown-ups always say. So I told myself the same thing. Our house had that familiar early morning quiet to it. No clatter of dishes yet, no TV, no voices. Just the kind of silence that feels heavier than it should. I went downstairs, heading to the kitchen to make breakfast. To get there, you had to walk through the living room. And as I stepped into the room, I stopped. My mom was sitting on the couch. She wasn't watching TV. She wasn't sipping coffee. She was just sitting there, still. Her eyes were red and glassy, like she'd been crying. Her hands were folded in her lap, but they were clenched too tight. I slowed down, confused, unsure of what to say. "Mom?" I asked. "Are you okay?" She looked up at me with a strange expression, like she wanted to say something, but didn't have the words. "I'm fine," she said quietly. "Go ahead and make your breakfast." I hesitated. Something in my gut twisted, but I didn't press. I nodded and walked past her into the kitchen, made my cereal, poured my juice. My hands felt robotic, like I was watching myself do it. I carried it all back upstairs, trying to push away that lingering, sinking feeling. A few minutes passed. Then I heard her footsteps on the stairs. She came into my room and told me gently, "Come downstairs and sit on the couch." There was something in her voice I didn't recognize. It was soft but serious. It made the hairs on my arms stand up. She walked to my sister's room next and woke her up, asking her to come downstairs too. I sat on the couch and waited. My sister sat beside me, half asleep, not knowing what was coming. And then my mom sat down across from us. She was quiet for a long moment, as if bracing herself. Then she looked up, and everything about her, the tension in her shoulders, the trembling in her voice, told me something was very, very wrong. "I need to tell you both something," she said. "This morning, your dad was in a car accident." The air left the room. My stomach dropped. And he didn't make it. I didn't cry. Not right away. I didn't scream or shout or ask why. I just sat there, frozen, staring at the carpet, trying to make sense of how the words "he didn't make it" could be real. Because I already knew. I'd seen it. Hours before I heard it. I felt it. That dream, the one I had brushed off, the one I convinced myself was nothing. It had been a warning, or a message, or something I'll probably never understand. But it wasn't just a dream. I told my mom about it later in bits and pieces. I don't think she knew what to say. Maybe she believed me. Maybe she didn't want to. But I know what I saw. I remember it, and I carry it with me. I still think about that morning more than I admit. About the stillness of the house. About my mom's face. About the shape of the blanket on the couch where I sat when my childhood ended. Some people believe dreams can tap into something deeper. A thread that connects us to each other, to the world, to moments that haven't even happened yet. I used to think that was just wishful thinking. But now I'm not so sure. Because when I was 11 years old, I saw something I shouldn't have. And no matter how much time passes, I'll never forget that dream. Or the day it came true. Now, let Kerrie's story be a reminder that not all hauntings come from places. Some come from within, in memories, in moments of loss, and in dreams that know more than we do. And Kerrie, thank you for trusting us with your experience. Your story will stay with me, and I know it will stay with every time traveler listening tonight. Now, if you've ever had a dream that didn't feel like just a dream, maybe it wasn't. And if you've got a story of your own, whether it happened last week or decades ago, I want to hear it. Head over to paranormalnightshift.com and submit your story. Don't overthink it. Just tell it how it happened. And while you're there, make sure you're signed up for the email list. That's where I send exclusive stories that never make it to the podcast. You'll also get your free copy of The Birth of Dimensional Desperado and early access to book 2, which I'm working on right now. For those of you looking to go even deeper, check out our Patreon. There's a vault of ad-free episodes, early releases, and stories that go places I can't even hint at here. Until next time, sleep with intention. Trust your instincts. And if a story's been sitting on your chest, it might be time to let it out. I'm Andy. Thanks for being part of the Night Shift. We'll see you soon, and good night.